How's it going, everybody? It's been a hot minute since we've given a bit of an update for the RX8, but we haven't stopped working on it. We've just been tied up with so many projects, we haven't really got to say much to it. Give you a little catch up of where we're at. We finalized our design for the exhaust manifold for the turbo. This is revision 8. Revision 9 is actually in the car currently, and that's the one that we sent off to Jake's company to get 3D printed. So hopefully sometime in the next few months they'll print it and get it back to us, and we'll get to work on actually putting the turbo in with the actual manifold that'll be in the car. The next few months is going to be a lot of parallel path to that to try to get the car ready to be running. Obviously we can't run it without the exhaust manifold, but there's a lot of other little bits and bobs that need to be completed prior to us getting the engine running. So I'm going to have Jake come over and talk a little bit about the couple of systems we have left and what needs to be done to button up that we'll be working on in the coming month. I'll grab the camera.
Cut.
That's it. That's the bit.
So for the most part, the oil system is in. The last bit of piece that we need is the oil pedestal, which for rotaries you mount in the back. I don't know why Mazda put it back there, but they did. So we got to make a pedestal that mounts the oil coming from the coolers back to the engine, and we also make a way. We have to make a way for the oil to get from either the pedestal or this front oil outlet port, because they also added that to go to the turbo.
So Jake's talking about there's a banjo bolt right down here.
Yeah, it's the normal oil feed for the turbos on the rotaries, but I don't know, the way they did it's kind of silly. But then the oil system will pretty much be done other than the turbo drain back to the pan. For fuel system, we got all the components ordered and in-house. We have to make a few lines, and then we'll have to test the electrical of the pumps. So fuel system's pretty much done. As for coolant, really to start the engine, I guess we don't need it. We could just fill the engine and run it for 5-10 minutes and then turn it off. But I do have plans for a custom cooler. We're going to run an electronic water pump, so it's mainly just doing plumbing and getting the radiator.
And your coolant is coming out of these two front ports, right?
Inlet, outlet. We will have the heater, so there's like silicone tubes we have to put in to run to the heater core and then back to the inlet outlet. And then that is pretty much done, but to start the car we don't need that.
Yeah.
Charge system, all the battery, alternators in, alternator wirings in, starter wires in. We could put a battery to this right now and spin the engine, but not going to do that.
We're not going to.
And then really we just got to get the throttle body on and figure out how to weld aluminum pipes. I think that's pretty much it.
So I think Jake detailed it pretty good. We've got the oil system. On the engine side, we have to get finished up. We've got the fuel system, again, on the engine side that we need to get finished up. We need the intake, which is a big one we're going to be working on here soon, especially now with, I just bought a CNC machine. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in a video I didn't make, so I'll mention it now. Hopefully I'll get that all assembled and running here in the next month or so. With the CNC machine, it's going to open up our world of possibilities of parts we will be able to make for this build and going forward into other builds. Got off on a tangent, but we've got oil, fuel, air, and cooling to finish up on the engine side of things.
Last thing is the wiring harness for the engine, but we're using the RX8 wiring harness and we're just going to patch in the different sensors and whatnot. Most of the plugs should be the same though.
So we got a list of things to do. I'll put it up on the screen so it's a lot clearer than our jumbled mess that we're putting out. But for the remainder of today, I'm going to be 3D scanning the engine bay once again. Jake's added some new parts to the engine bay since I scanned it last. So he's got a new alternator, new AC bracket. We've got the fuel rails in. We've got, where is it? This is the oil pressure regulator to go to the turbo. So we'll be scanning all of these little pieces and starting to locate them in space so we can see how things work. And this will bring us into the new year. Look for the next video in January where we update what we've been getting into. Thanks for all your love and support. Thanks for hanging around, everybody. Catch you in the next one.
Thank you.